for extending this opportunity to me. I feel very proud to be a graduate of the Max Bootcamp and be able to come back and talk to you today. So thank you and everyone else who's welcomed me back here today. Why did I decide to make the change? Well, I had been the assistant treasurer of Hamilton County for 15 years. Now, that doesn't sound that exciting. I wasn't going to wow you with that, but after 15 years of doing the same job where, county government isn't exactly a dynamic workplace where you're coming up with new ideas, all this programming you're doing here, great new things. So I felt like I needed some sort of change in my life. I was going to be 50 years old. The current elected official had already told me he was going to run to be a judge and not continue as treasurer. And my position I could easily set aside, and the next elected official could decide not to keep me. And I felt very vulnerable, despite having 15 years of knowledge about Hamilton County and real estate tax in Ohio. You really can't go anywhere else too much with that, some transferable skills. So I thought, what could I do that might be different? And I thought about, when was I most engaged with the work that I'd been doing, both in a previous job at a clinical research organization and at the treasurer's office. And it was often when there was a new database being developed, whether it be for a new clinical trial or while we were at the treasurer's office, we actually transitioned through two different databases. We went from, I'm old, I mentioned the 50-year-old, the green screen terminal to a more web-based environment. Then we transitioned to it. So in each of those transitions, I was most engaged when I was talking to the developers, the people that were making it all happen, that took what seemed mundane to me and just made it that much better and created all this information and knowledge. And there was this one woman who I bugged her to help me with this payroll type thing, and she wrote some stuff in VBA in an Excel thing, and I'm like, wow. And she's like, you don't do this? And I'm like, no, I have no idea what this is. So along with her encouragement, and also at that time, our current director of IT, he had been encouraging me to get more involved in it too, because he saw a little spark in me. And the main thing that amazed me was when he introduced me to SQL Server Management Studio. And he's like, I'm here, I am tinkering around with reports and trying to cut and paste into Excel. And he's like, no, you can do this, and you can comment and uncomment and do these things. And I'm like, cool, but it makes no sense to me. So I tinkered around with it a bit. So here I am, excited about tech, depressed about my job, and he said, make a leap of faith. And I thought that was the right thing to do. And he had actually mentioned Max in particular, but there are other organizations out there. So I resigned my position and I looked at different places. And then I ended up going to a meet and greet kind of at the Coffee Emporium in downtown Cincinnati. It was a Saturday morning. And I was impressed that the owner and president of the company would be there to meet me, somebody who didn't know anything. And she was very engaging, very inspirational, and Denise made a great impact on me that first day. I then had the opportunity to come out here, and I got to meet with Greg. Same thing. He was inspirational, he was motivational, he wanted to help me, and that meant a lot to me. And from there, I got to visit other staff that, again, were seeing this trend of people who are inspirational, motivational, and they make me feel really positive about my decision. Then I got to go to the demo day. And at that, I got to meet, actually, Greg's son was at that demo day. And there too, I met this group of people that would walk up to me and were very kind and told me that this might be possible. And again, so it was more, while we're dealing with technology, it was more the people that got me to choose Max. But I also did look up the success rate of Max, and they share their data with us, and that was important to me too, because it is an investment. I mean, I was reaching in my pocket to pull real dollars out with no job, 3 kids and a wife, and I had to make a serious decision, and I decided to choose Max. My bootcamp experience, going back to the age again, I was the oldest student in the class, by far the most, except for one, and it's a quick pace. I don't know, what week are you in right now? 10. 10? 10. Okay, so I've already hit my breaking point 6 weeks ago. So by week 4, I was overwhelmed. It was the weekend of August 17th, and I really sat at home and just really wondered, what was I thinking? Can I keep up with this? But I trusted Greg's commitment to get me through it, and I had to be committed to keep trying. So I kept doing that. One of the best things that every day, I will not forget, I have a section of my notes that's called Gregisms. There would be little things that he'd drop on us. And one of us was, get to know SQL. I live in SQL every day. I'm in SSMS, and that's where I really do most of my work, and that really helped me a lot. With the Nets Gallup Strengths Assessment, that made me feel good about myself. Somebody took time to talk to me, and we did this opportunity to kind of both point out things that made me go, you're not that bad, but there are also, more importantly, pointed out areas for improvement. So that was very helpful to me. And then I had the opportunity to have Mike as an instructor, and I like that he called it magic, the stuff that we do. Because as I am at my office, it's county government. A lot of people were happy using a tape total machine with a paper and lining through things with a ruler. And I am proud that I've taken the knowledge that I learned here and incorporated in probably every area of the treasurer's office some new process that is automated, and the people feel that I'm a magician. So that Mike's magic turn sticks with me, and people walk into my office and look at me kind of weird, like, why do you have a rubber duck in front of your monitor? But I do. I had the opportunity to learn from Sean also, and I felt that he had an intense focus on teaching, on our learning, and also music and having fun. So it was a great experience that I had here at the boot camp. Overwhelming, but I worked through it, and I left with a confidence, and that meant a lot to me. And of course, with demo day, leading into why I went back to the county, I want to touch on the demo day. That was a great opportunity, as nerve-wracking as it was to complete the project and present it. What a great opportunity to get all those leads and talk to people. I mean, to meet face to face and build a relationship, or at least something tangible that day was very important to me. Because in fact, I was on my way to meeting with Kingsgate Logistics when I got a call from the elected official. And he said, I pulled over into a McSwing's carpet parking lot, and he said to me, Glenn, my director of IT is leaving. Would you be interested? Well, I'm thinking, I don't know if I got that skill set, but I'll show up on Friday. You don't pay me. I'll just observe and see what I can do. And I walked away feeling like I could do this, because not just because of what I learned in the class, but because Greg, reminded me it's constant learning. I just have to be able to do the right searches, reach out to the right people. There are networks of other people in the county that I can reach out to. So in the course of, it'll be 2 years in October that I took the position, I've learned so much. So I took the base, what I learned here, and that enthusiasm of learning and being able to reach out and not, what's it called, imposter syndrome? Is that what?
Imposter syndrome,
yeah. Yeah, at first I was like, I am totally faking this for the first few months, year, or maybe up to yesterday. But I do definitely have more confidence now that I understand my job and I can do it well. So the other advantage too is, as I talked to some of the people that came in from like Western and Southern stuff, I would have to learn their businesses practices. So what was beneficial to me was I was able to take the tech that I learned here and use it with my business knowledge. So my job is kind of a hybridization of the business of the office tied into what I learned here, and it's been great for me. And then of course, to be real, there's the real world stuff. I went to move back in, I still get my 5 weeks of vacation, I have 1,200 hours of sick time, and my retirement plan. So county's cool like that. But it was a great opportunity. I really can't thank Max enough. I learn every day. Even just yesterday, I had to compare these two LT thing, boy, don't listen to that part. But the idea is I ended up doing a Google search. It didn't work. I did another search, got me close, but not the results. And then I had to use what I learned here to make it work. And I was able to do so. And I'm so proud and thankful for that opportunity. So, and thank you for your time listening to me. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to. And I don't know how online, is it audio or type?
They can speak and you will hear them.
Okay, great. If I didn't, I apologize if I'm repeating it. That's the big thing that Max gave me today. I have 4 weeks before a new elected official comes in. If I were in the position that I resigned to come to Max and had to go out the door, I would feel so vulnerable right now. I don't want to be like, hey, I can just go, anybody, I'm the best, take me. That's not the attitude I have. I have the attitude of, I've now got a skill set that I could, if need be, find employment. So I feel much better. Yes?
You mentioned your family. What are your conversations now with your wife and with your kids as it was before the boot camp, kind of going from that uncertainty to where things are now? What is that?
The uncertainty during boot camp or before I resigned?
Well, when you decided to leave your last position before
you
had graduated the boot camp.
Yeah, so leaving was scary. It was difficult. We weren't certain of what the future held. And like I said, 4 weeks in, I was like, this ain't gonna work. I need to just call them up and get my old job back. But after the boot camp and when I started the new position, I think they could see in me there is more of a light rather than just, that look of getting up and going to a job. Now I'm inspired. I sit in bed at night and watch, YouTube videos on some Power Query or something, whatever. I'm engaged, I'm excited, I want to go to work. I get there, I'm actually happy and looking for the next challenge. I have a to-do list that is longer than I'll ever get to. I just keep filling it with write a better code or query or anything to do this next thing that's gonna help out investment, do this thing that's gonna help out our escrow department, do this that's gonna help. And so there's this enthusiasm. So that work excitement does carry into the family. Now, when you talk about, before I couldn't talk to my kids about tech. My son just had to set up everything he's going to college this week. And of course he had to have his laptop and you got to get it on their Office 365 account. And honestly, I wouldn't have had the confidence I had, but having migrated our office, when I got there, they were all on Windows 7 machines. I've got them all now on Windows 10. We've got Office 365 and I knew it inside and out. So when he had to do it, I was like, dude, just here you go, click here, click here. And I talked to my daughters about, because the truth is early in my talk, I talked about that woman and said, you never did this? I'm not saying computers weren't around when but it was never introduced to me, never talked to me. So now I have conversations with my kids. I'm like, get to know Excel, get to know data, look at what you can do with this stuff. And so the conversations have changed for the better. Yes.
So it sounds like somebody just called you up from your previous job and just handed you the job back, or was there an interview process or a rehiring process at all, or was it just come back, we're welcome?
I can't say, I don't want to mislead you. I had a great rapport with the elected official. I think he had a lot of faith in me, and I think from the words of the prior IT person that was leaving, understanding what I knew before I left, which wasn't much, but I know a lot of the business side, and his knowing what I was going through, because he actually asked me about what I was learning in the boot camp. And I had a 1 month kind of trial period with him. So I would call that my kind of, it was almost like a month-long interview, kind of. In other words, if at the end of the month, so my predecessor was, I showed up October 5th and I worked till November before he left. If he didn't have confidence in me, I'm sure he would have told the elected official. So I don't know if that directly answers it, but no, right. I'll admit, the door was opened because of my relationship that I had built over those years, but I still had to prove myself, and I've had to jump through some pretty big hurdles, a lot of stress. You get that email at 2 o'clock on Monday morning that the entire website's down the day before our last day to pay. Your heart starts jumping. you got to be able to perform. You got to know who to call, what to do. The server goes down. I mean, I have to know my job. So I'd like to think I'm not there just because of what I knew,
right.
But what I knew plus what I learned plus what I know now, if that helps at all.
Yeah. And just a follow-up question to that. When you went back, do you think it helped or hindered you that you took that time and then got rehired when you were renegotiating maybe compensation or benefits that you might get, so having a new skill set?
No, I gotta be honest, because I was so new, I wasn't in a position to ask for perhaps a raise. I was at a pretty good salary as the assistant treasurer, and I was taking on a new position, and benefits from the county are pretty standard. So I didn't have to get into too much of a negotiation, but I was very fortunate that the treasurer acknowledged, again, going back to what I might have, or apologize for repeating, but my job is so one of the things I mentioned to Greg, and he was honest with me when I texted him about this opportunity, because I reached out to the people here and they gave me their honest opinions, and there was differing opinions. I am not a 8-hour-a-day programmer sitting there, doing that. I'm a hybrid. I've got to keep the network up, keep the PCs up. I do use some programming, like within the SQL environment, and it's a lot of. The benefit to the treasurer was I know the tax cycle, I know what we do, I know what files need to get to the printer, or not what files. So I knew our workflow, and to be able to layer the tech onto it. So negotiation, I will say after I completed it, after he had faith in me, he did provide me a raise. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned being super prepared as of yesterday. What's interesting is looking at your timeline when you talked about it taking 3-6 months, a year to really start to get everything down. What kind of a monkey wrench did the pandemic throw into it? Because that seems really interesting. Like what was that like, and what happened?
The pandemic did not alter our office much. Because the county decided to close the building at about the time our tax bills were due, we really felt that we have to be open. And we got into a nice little conversation with the auditor and the commissioners, who really wanted to close the building, but we felt it's unfair to force people into, you can't come to the county building and get your bill. What it did though was it allowed me the opportunity to expand our online presence. So we do go through a third party, Point and Pay, and that's just grown. And that's another area of growth for me, because what used to happen with that system, and going off of your topic here a little bit, but the pandemic did not affect it much, not my learning or the thing. But Point and Pay, now that I bring that up, that's an example of where, prior to me getting there, the staff member would go onto Point and Pay, they would look at the report, they would hand key the parcel numbers in, they would print the parcels out, they would cashier the parcels. Well, I realized that we could actually get a report, download it to Excel, convert it to a text file, stick it into a program. Then I also bounce that up against our daily amount due file. I find surplus, refunds, misapplies before they even happen. And then I create a payment file that goes straight into the system without anybody touching it. And I tell people my goal here isn't to get rid of people, but it allows us, if you heard a few words in there, surplus, refunds, double payments, misapplied payments. Those are difficult things for us. You don't want your money to go on your parcel. You don't want, payment misapplied, overpaid, underpaid, spouses pay. So I share that to say, that's where I'm just like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. Max taught me how to do this. And that's where the office has improved. We have been able to provide better service to the taxpayers and more timely. And I apologize, I'm running long.
Do you have staff? Do you have a team of people?
Unfortunately,
are you a team of one?
Yeah. Well, that's why they made me director. Couldn't make me anything else. I have 2 people, but they're not IT people.
Okay.
I am a one-man shop. The benefit to me when I talked about that network of being able to talk to people is the auditor has a very large computer department, as well as JFS, DDS. So I can reach out. I have a team of people, but I personally, it's me with people reporting to me, but they don't they don't get a chance to do IT stuff. Anyone else?
I think this is probably null too, but I have it written down, so I'm going to ask
bring
it.
it on.
Considering you did a 1 month, was there any technical aspects or coding challenges per se?
No, that I'll be honest. So I'm not in a programmer coding environment.
Right.
I am mostly in SQL Server Management Studio, and I have used that to greatly enhance my daily functions. So today, automate. There were things that were just taking too much time, and I just keep writing looking for negative. Every day I gotta look for negatives, duplicate parcels, things like that. So the challenge was on myself.
Okay.
So in all honesty, yeah, my road would have been a lot harder had I gone to a new company. But in this environment, I've been able to do my own direction.
Well, yeah, I
Very
mean,
fortunate.
that's probably better though. I mean, easier transition. So
Absolutely, yeah. I don't discount, but at the same time, I would say that that self-drive and that self-learning is something I learned here also. I could easily sit back and just let people keep using their tape total and take 2 days to balance 100 parcels, but that would drive me crazy.
right.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. We're
Thank
really
you for your
proud of
time.
you. It was a big risk, and we're really thrilled that you trusted us.
Thank you very much, Denise. I appreciate it. And everybody online, thank you very much.